Have you ever wondered what Warren Buffett thinks about wealth and the economy? Welcome to the mind of a billionaire, a place where old stocks outperform tech giants and where wealth distribution and quality of life improvements are focal points. Buffett, one of the wealthiest individuals in the world, has a unique perspective on the economy. He emphasizes the impact of inflation on investments and suggests a solution: diversifying portfolios with assets that have historically outpaced inflation. He's the advocate of seeking financial advice for personalized investment strategies. It's a world where the ultra-rich, like Buffett himself, pay minimal federal income taxes, with his true tax rate being just 0.1% on his $24.3 billion fortune growth. Sounds reasonable, right? But let's delve a bit deeper. Now, let's consider the ordinary person's everyday economic reality. While the billionaire investor Warren Buffett talks about outperforming stocks and diversifying portfolios, the average Joe and Jane are grappling with a different set of challenges. Wage stagnation, for instance, is a stark reality. Despite putting in longer hours and more effort, many have seen their paychecks barely budge over the years. Add to that the rising cost of living. From groceries to gas, from rent to healthcare, prices are on an upward trajectory, yet wages remain largely stagnant, putting a squeeze on budgets. And let's not forget the silent thief: inflation. It chips away at the purchasing power of hard-earned dollars, making it harder for people to save for the future or even meet their daily needs. Now let's bring taxes into the picture. Remember the ultra-rich paying an average true tax rate of just 3.4%? The tax burden on an average person is significantly higher. They don't have the luxury of earning income through capital gains and dividends or making large charitable donations to reduce their tax liability. This disparity in tax rates, where the ultra-wealthy pay less proportionally than the average worker, only widens the wealth gap. And speaking of wealth concentration, it has serious implications for the economy and ordinary people's lives. As wealth accumulates at the top, fewer resources trickle down to the rest of the population. This can lead to reduced economic mobility and increased social inequality. It means fewer opportunities for the average person to improve their financial situation, no matter how hard they work. Quite a contrast, isn't it? Let's see why this disconnect exists. Why is there such a disconnect between Buffett's perspective and the realities of ordinary people, you may ask? Well, it's a matter of perspective. Buffett's vast wealth and investment strategies insulate him from the day-to-day economic realities faced by the average person. He doesn't need to worry about the cost of groceries, healthcare, or education skyrocketing due to inflation. His investments, diversified across various assets that historically outpace inflation, ensure his wealth continues to grow regardless of economic conditions. On the other hand, ordinary people, unable to access such sophisticated investment strategies, bear the brunt of these economic fluctuations. Their wages and savings often fail to keep pace with inflation, eroding their purchasing power. This is the reality for many, a reality that is far removed from Buffett's experience. Moreover, the current economic system disproportionately benefits the wealthy. Tax laws, for example, often favor capital gains and dividends, the primary income sources for the rich over wages, the main income source for ordinary people. This allows the wealthy, like Buffett, to maintain a lower tax rate, further widening the wealth gap. This disconnect is not accidental, but a product of a system that prioritizes the wealthy. And until we address this systemic issue, the disconnect between the perspectives of billionaires and the realities of ordinary people will persist. So what have we learned from this comparison of perspectives? We've journeyed through the contrasting worlds of the billionaire and the ordinary citizen, and it's clear that Warren Buffett's perspective, while insightful, does not resonate with the realities of everyday people. We've seen how the ultra-rich employ strategies to minimize tax liabilities, often paying a minuscule percentage compared to their vast fortunes. Meanwhile, ordinary people shoulder the weight of the economy, facing the brunt of inflation and global uncertainties. Warren Buffett's advice on diversifying portfolios and investing in assets that outpace inflation might work for those with substantial wealth, but for many, it's a far-off dream. The realities of day-to-day living expenses, stagnant wages, and rising costs of living leave little room for such strategies. We've also touched on the importance of understanding business valuations and the shift towards sustainable growth in the investment landscape. Yet, these concepts, too, seem distant from the realities of many who are struggling to make ends meet. The big takeaway? Our economic systems need to be more representative, more beneficial for all. They need to bridge the gap between the billionaire's perspective and the ordinary person's reality. Remember, wealth is not just about numbers in a bank account, but about how it impacts our daily lives. If you like this video, don't forget to rate, subscribe, and share so we can keep you up to date on what's important in our tiny fraction of the universe. And as always, take care.